So there's two elements, right? There's the planning element and the doing element.
Right.
Today, it does a task. They book me an airline ticket. When do you want to go? It's kind of like writing a piece of code.
Yeah.
But it says, find the best option.
Yeah.
Infer what the best option is.
Yeah.
Figure out what's most convenient to me. Figure out the time I should be flying from here. Figure out that allows me to get there at the right time based on my calendar or whatever you have. Something is planning this. That inference engine is what everybody's trying to build for every use case.
Yeah.
That inference engine then will be connect, let's call it, to a do engine. And if you can infer and do, that becomes your agent.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is that's going to be fun. Exciting news for cybersecurity is that once that happens, I don't have to bother you. I can just take over your agent and cause chaos.
Right.
Now, you can think of simple agents, making restaurant reservations, which is, I'd call it non-destructive, as a worse of the bad meal. You can also make it more complicated and say, it can change the entire configuration of my firewall. It can change the entire configuration of the heating cooling system of Palo Alto because you have an agent which checks climate, understands how to redo the entire heat settings for the company. So there are all kinds of different examples, from control systems to industrial systems to robotic systems you can think of, which eventually will want agency. And they will become an interesting place for bad actors to try and take control, because those agents will allow you to act on behalf of whoever's agent you've taken over. So if you had, say, a series of companies who are building these solutions, they'd be very interesting because it's an unknown problem. It's a field which has not been fully explored. There is no resident expert today. There is no resident install base. So it's a sort of a, blue sky problem, and startup founders are notoriously good at trying to attack those problems, solve them. Either they'll build a big company out of it, or they'll get bought out by somebody who wants to solve that problem.
Yeah. I'm working with this company here while I'm here, and they were demoing their new browser yesterday.
Yes.
And if you had many tabs open, it could do a few things which seemed very sequential in nature.
Agentic browser.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's almost here, right? Because that was a live product. They've not launched yet, but it seems to be getting really, really close.
Yeah, I think the idea of automated tasks in sequence has been around for a while. People have called it a playbook. People have called it a workflow. I think the question really becomes is, when will you let a planning agent control it versus you control it yourself?
Interesting.
For a meaningful task. You can say, I can do a 3-step task. I can search the web. I can find which websites are selling great shoes. I can make a catalog of them. I can sort them by size. I can marry that with your preferences, which I have in memory, and sort. Those are all planned tasks. You actually wrote the plan, something executed your plan. If I give you a nebulous problem saying, find the best shoe for me that I should wear tomorrow, there's too many subjective decisions that need to be made in that process, which means your planning or inferencing brain has to start working.
Right.
Which is creating certainty from a lot of nebulous data. I think that's the holy grail. And when you can start getting really good inferencing and planning agents, then it starts to mimic human intelligence.
So as an individual investor, if I were to look at a new vector, a lot of people do say that self-driving cars are not really the best example of AI, at least generative learning.
Yeah. Well, look, AI was traditionally known as used to be machine learning, right? Which is the idea that you could write code and go decipher things.
Because they're not really predicting what will come in the road or what will happen next, right? They're more like...
Well, they are acting based on information that they're presented with in the instance. And over time, you go from predictable actions to unpredictable situations and figuring out, inferencing what you do in that scenario. So there is a little bit of inferencing going on, but there'll be more inferencing going on. And generative is a whole different conversation, right?
So that's good. That's useful. As an investor, I can look for new vectors, new surfaces where cybersecurity might be a thing and invest in that. Invest in small companies which might want to build a niche specifically in one thing.
Yeah,
right?
But I think if you step back and look at the broader impact of AI, I think there are a lot of industries will get upended in the next 10 years. If you take the whole notion of product development, you have a trading platform of sorts, right? A lot of your trading platform, in my understanding, and this is where you're the expert, and I'll posit something, is you're helping us consumers interact with large data behind it.
Yeah.
You're making it easy, you're creating forms, workflow, and eventually you're consummating transactions on my behalf.
Yeah.
But the entire UI is designed to make me understand and to get the right inputs from me so you can actually understand what I'm doing. Right? I could pick a certain ticker, I can choose a certain amount of shares, I can put it in there, I can buy, sell. If you have call options, I can, whatever. So like a typical trading platform. If you look at the world, 75% of product development in technology is human beings teaching consumers how to interact with back-end engineering databases and transactions.
Yeah.
Whether it's flight tickets, whether it's
yeah.
trading.
Yeah.
If I have a smart enough capability through a combination of generative AI and workflow automation where I can talk to this without requiring UI, which we can imagine, right? We can imagine if I have an inference engine, it can say, hey, take the position I had yesterday that I bought, sell it, take half the profits and reinvest them between $100 and $110 in, Reliance or whatever your favorite stock is, if it's Robinhood, whatever you have, right? You and I can imagine how that query or that natural language that you can literally in your brain, you're planning the steps that are required in your product to go execute that transaction.
Right.
But it doesn't happen today. In the future, it's effectively a planning engine, planning the tasks, calling the 4 tasks, saying sell yesterday's position, take the proceeds, understand how many shares I can buy, take half then, buy those many shares between $100 and $110, go back to the user and say, I bought $100 shares for you of this, and the remaining cash is in your balance.
Yeah.
We can actually write the steps in our head of that transaction. The question is, do I have to code all of that and take every scenario and do it? Or in the future, there's an agentic AI or an AI interface that allows it to do, and there's an inference engine, which means your entire process of product development at Zerodha is going to change.
Yeah.
Take that and multiply that across every user experience that is out there. Take a different example. Today, a lot of applications are designed generically for everyone, right? It's kind of like very little user preference or knowledge. It's just kind of marginal, right? Like you a little bit of understand what you know. But if you can have full memory of my preferences and you're designing an application, whether it's a nutrition app, right? You go to a nutrition app today, it tells you have to pick a whole bunch of stuff by the time you're done filling forms. 5 pages later, it tells you eat less carbs. Thank you very much, right? Or gives you some advice. Over time, I think applications will become applications for one.
Yeah.
Instead of generic applications. So I think there's a lot of implications of AI in the technology world from a product development perspective, AI in the enterprise software world, where I think analytic products will die. It'll all be products that help you do something. There's a huge debate. I mean, look at the world of advertising. The whole notion of digital advertising, which is about a $450 billion industry, is to encourage you and me to buy something or transact. People buy ads on the internet so that eventually you and I will either go trade or you and I will go buy something. But if our agents start interacting on our behalf and they start assessing what the right answers are, what is the role of advertising in the future? So there's just so many implications across the entire technology landscape. I don't think your investor brain should be worried about one particular cybersecurity vector to invest in.
Right.